amazing today? I'm sitting here just studying. I'm just studying in the office, just studying, child. In here studying, forgot I was supposed to be on at 6 o'clock. I'm just sitting here. I'm just sitting here studying. Just in this room, just studying. Got my head inside the Bible, child. Hadn't even looked up to breathe. Child. But you know what? God is still good. I want to apologize for getting up here late. I was supposed to be up here at 6 o'clock. I'm in here inside the Bible just studying. I was wondering why I was feeling a tug. That was an angel telling me to get your butt on and do what you said you was going to do. Amen. But praise God, I'm here now. Man. Our word that we still studying on is useless. And first, I just want to share some things right here. It is useless to think. I was talking to myself today. I did like Brown on Medea. I was talking to myself. Myself said, that's what I did. And I said, you know what? It's useless to think that everybody, hey, Red, hey, come on in, do me a favor and share the live so we can get it out of the Meadowland. Thank you so very much. I apologize, I'm late, I was supposed to be on at 6 o'clock. I'm in here studying the word. In here just studying, child. Just studying. So I made a decision today. Hey, Chosen. So I made a decision today while I was sitting here and I was just meditating and talking to myself. And I said, it's useless to think that everybody's going to like me. So I'm just going to do what God asked me to do, right? And I'd rather for people to respect me than to like me and fake be in my face. How about that? Hey, Jasmine. How you doing? Hey, Pokey. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? Hey, Ramirez. Hey, y'all. I'm not trying to be rude, but if I'm going to stay in love and constantly changing the atmosphere, it's important that I put my mindset first. I don't have time to be trying to get everybody to like me because it's impossible. We live in a world where we're fickle as humans. I'm fickle sometimes myself. And I usually stand like this all the time on the word, but sometimes I'm fickle. How about that? So I just said, I'm going to just the Christ consciousness requires love, right? And that requires change. So that needs to be my boldness as a lion. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay if I have to be a villain in somebody's story because I chose to do what God told me to do. And then I was thinking too, I wrote this down because I was thinking earlier that I was upset with the situation because I came into this situation with no info, like it was a Hunger Games. I was just thrown in here to my tribute. I didn't even know what was going on. So basically, I would fight for my life out here in these streets. But you know what? I thank God that I didn't know. Then I came back and said, I thank God that I didn't know. Because I use everything I ever learned in POW training, everything I learned in going to military school for PLDC, that's primary leadership training with the military. When you get ready to get your first rank with your stripes, it's called primary leadership development. Basically, they need to call it Crazy Town. That's what they need to call it. Because they give you a compass and they send you out with a compass and a map. And while you out there trying to find your spots, people out there hunting. Who does that? So you got real bullets. I ain't talking about fake bullets. I'm talking about real bullets flying over your head while you trying to find your spot. Now, these farmers don't know because guess what? You got on camouflage and you got on camouflage face paint. So basically, these bullets is really coming really close to your head. This is at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So here we are in PLDC training, trying to do land navigation course. I think about it now and laugh, but I wasn't laughing then. I said, they are trying to kill us out here. So basically, you were trying to find we had 1, 2, 3, we had 10 things to find. And when you got to it, you had a number. It was like this, but it was a different color. Like each color had a number. Like mine, I think, if I'm not mistaken, mine was yellow. So every time I got to my things, I had to choose a yellow thing. Now that was something. That was something. So I'm kind of glad I didn't know, because I was able to tap in and use all those skills. But it would have been like to know something. You know what I'm saying? And when I got mad and I would be hurt and the tears would start falling, I was broken and I had so many emotions. Only thing God kept saying is, let go. I got a plan. Let go. I got a plan. And I've been just trusting God every step of the way. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I've been doing. I've been trusting God every step of the way. And if y'all would do me a favor, and share the live, I want to put something up here as well. Hold 1 second. I want to put some up here as well. Give me one moment. Because if I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it right, I told God I was going to do something today. So I'm just going to do it and see what happens. We'll just do it and see what happens. We only can go from there, right? And learn something new today. And learn something new. And just keep going from there. How about that? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm just putting some stuff here in the box. I just put there my Cash App and my PayPal just in case while I am saying this message. If you want to put anything in there, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. It's just being that I'm just giving of my time. I'm going to put myself in a place where I can receive as well. I'm learning to receive. Most of my life, I've been in the fight or flight, always fighting, always going. And because of that, I have never placed myself in a place of receiving. So I'm stepping out of my comfort zone in order to receive. So it's there in the chat, just in case you want to add something to my life. It is there. Thank you so very much. So the word tonight is going to be Luke 17, verse 10. Again, Luke 17, verse 10. Again, our word is useless. So again, it's useless to be fighting stuff just to be fighting it. Sometimes you just need to surrender to God and let God do what he gonna do, and you just stick with that. Hey, Torrance. Hey, Christina. Come on in and share the live. Y'all can give me some hearts if you like. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. So we're going to start here at verse 5. So the apostle said, Lord, show us how to increase our faith. The Lord answered, if you had faith as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, you will be uprooted and be planted in the sea, and it will obey you. Basically, he's saying you got the power to speak to anything that's going on in your life. If you have a situation that's going on in your life, I promise you there's a scripture in the Bible that has something to go to it. Like today, I had to tell my mind to settle down. I said, he said he'll keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on him. Hey, Alonzo 435, come on in and share the live. Thank you so very much. So I had to talk to myself today and say, If he gonna keep me in perfect peace, and I need to go where he's at. That means in Revelations it said, "Come up hither and sup with me." You gonna have to come up, cause he'll come down to you, but he would rather for you to come up to him. You see what I'm saying? So today I had to go up to him and talk to him and just spend some time with him and change my mindset. And yeah, it was a time. It was a time now. It was a time. Because there are times when things are just going on right here that you got to shut it down and talk to yourself. You know what I mean? When a servant comes in from plowing and taking care of the sheep, does his master say, "Come in and eat with me"? No, he says, "Prepare my meal, put your apron on, and serve me while I eat. Then you can eat later." And does the master thank the servant for doing what he was supposed to do? Of course not. In the same way, when you obey the word of God, that is what you should do. We are. Oh, okay. So he said, if you simply just do what you're supposed to do, you are unworthy servant. And then it broke it down right here. He said the servant calls himself unworthy because of all he's done. If he doesn't do more, then he's not profitable. This is why people work so hard to get nowhere. So basically he was saying, if you're going to just do what is the basics, anybody can do the basics. Anybody can do basics. Like, okay, let's say the basics is, what's the example I put down? Okay, so the basics is this. So you go to a company, right? And they say, well, we do this and we do that and we do this. I've learned that if somebody say they do something, now you need to ask what the organizational culture is. That's what I just learned in master's degree school. Why? Because you can have a vision, you can have a mission statement, you can have a motto, confirmation. But how people act in that business is who they really are. And an organizational culture and what has been going on in America is the bare minimum. The bare minimum. Oh, I'm going to do this and oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to take your right away from this way because you already struggling to do what you need to do. But then we're going to take this away. We're going to go to Supreme Court and take this too. So there was something in place where everybody, it was equal on the table. Then they went and took everything away. So it went uneven again. So the organizational culture of America is horrible. We say we are the land of the free. We say all of this stuff when we sing the Star Spangled Banner. But when you look at the truth, it's not completely the truth because you really don't have freedom of speech. You say you have freedom of speech, but is it really freedom of speech? You say you can carry arms, but is it really arms? Because there are so many things that's here to censor what the amendments in the Constitution says. How do we know that? Because when we get on social media platforms, there's so much censorship. You think everyone can say what needs to be said and everyone will be seen. Not the case. Some people pay to get the numbers that they get. Other people say, let's just see what happens. Then others say, I've done the work, it should work. But it's gonna only work. Who is that? Hey Duck, how you doing, hon? Do me a favor and share the live. Thank you so very much. So, the organizational culture for the country is not great. Just think about it. If you say we the land of the free, why is it in the land of the free that we're so quick to go to another country and give them money when you have people sitting right here in California on Skid Row that need help? When you have people in New York that need help. But we send our money across the water. But we say we the land of the free. And I know from being in the military and knowing all the different treaties, We have so many treaties with so many different countries that say, per se, let's talk about Mexico since it's right there. And it's one of the hot topics going to be coming up for, it probably came up for the presidential debate. I didn't watch. Because I was trying to keep this mind in order. You do know with each of the different countries that we deal with that they have treaties, and it says this is how many of the citizens from my country can come from your country, how this amount of times, right? And when they come, you have to take care of them, meaning giving them birth certificates, social security numbers, make sure they get what you call that, WIC or anything like that, because they're coming. And you say, well, they're undocumented. Well, there's a treaty. And that treaty is like the Declaration of Independence. It's written out and it says, this is what has to happen. And these citizens can come over and you have to take care of them. But because we as the American citizens don't know what's really going on, they play us against each other. It's Democrats against Republicans when it's really all of us together. We're supposed to be on a unified front. So what they do is they put, you have your friend, and they are, let's say they're a Republican, and then you're a Democrat, and y'all fussing. The goal is to separate you, but God's goal is to bring you together. Just because you are a Democrat and you're a Republican don't mean we can't be friends. It doesn't mean that we got to stop talking to each other just because it's a presidential debate. What happened to America when there used to be an America where we could disagree? We could agree to disagree and still walk together. Now it's a cancel culture. I don't like you, so I'm going to cancel you. Why? That's useless. It's useless to cancel people when I thought it was called freedom of speech. So if people cancel, that means you can't say what you think? Don't that make us a censorship instead of a freedom? So you telling me that somebody behind a computer can tell you that they're going to cancel you when they're not out here living? So let's just say it's a superstar. Let's just say it's somebody you look up to. Let's just say it's somebody over in California, right? It's useless to cancel them unless they've done something against a civil right. Like you canceling somebody because you don't like their shoes, really? That don't make sense to me. But we do simple things and it's useless. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But we have forgotten that if we were living our own lives, then you couldn't be canceling someone else because you wouldn't have time to be looking at theirs. You got all these screenshots. No, that's what they said. This what they said. This what they said. This what they said. Remember, this is the day they said it. They said it on March. I got the screenshot. Well, let's go to what you said. You said you were going to start working out, but you said that 2 months ago. If you have yet to still come up with a strategic plan to get the workout done. But yet, you're watching everybody else judging, but you won't get on the Coliseum floor and work. We are supposed to be unifying. It is useless unless we unify. That means white, black, orange, purple, green, whatever. We're supposed to be working together. When something happens in the United States, what happens? We come together. But the only way to come together is we're going to have to look at the dirt underneath the rug. You know that dirt underneath the rug, the dirtiness of America. You know, the people that were placed in slavery, that we can't remember that, but we can remember 9/11 and we can remember the Holocaust, but we can't remember the worst Holocaust that ever happened on American soil. Only thing we got to do is just talk. Can we talk? Can we talk about it? But the rule is you can't talk about politics. We can't, because if we talk about politics, that means we gonna deal with what's underneath the rug. That means we all been lied to. Like they did, like Willie Lynch told them, I'm gonna break it down, Willie Lynch. Like Willie Lynch told them how to control their slaves, and they still doing it in America. And now they still doing it for white, black, orange, purple, green, whatever color you are. Let me tell you what he said. This is what you do. You take the dark black slave that's out in the cotton field, and you turn her against the light-skinned one that's working in the house, because the light-skinned one is paper bag. And you don't want to know what paper bag is? Let's talk about it. This is paper bag, right? So this is paper bag. If you pass this test and you light it in this, you can work inside the house. But see, the thing is what you don't understand is this. Master had his time with the one that was in the field and the one that was in the house. But if we don't get to talk, you don't know what's going on. See, you white, right? You Caucasian, right? And because you don't talk to the African American people, you don't know that you're dealing with the same thing. You're having a hard time doing what you need to do in your house, but I promise you, you're not the only person doing that. But because they're telling us not to talk, they're placing a wedge in between us. Instead of us pushing the wedge out the way and talking. A good way to do it is to start it at work. Instead of trying to step on each other to get to the top, you still be talking to each other and saying, man, this is what's going on. But see, Willie Lynch said keep them separate. Let me tell you why. Because the one in the house, she is getting SA'd by master whenever he feel like it. And the wife is having to watch this. That is why Caucasian women have an issue with African American women, because it is deeply seated in the genes. Remember how I said that they just did a study and found out that generationally, we are carrying anywhere from 15 to 20 years of our ancestors, and it could go all the way up to 100. So that means the way you feel about the sister at the job could really be not you. It really could be your ancestors. And maybe you need to sit down and deal with it, because everyone else is dealing with it. And when you start dealing with it, it brings empathy. Maybe the mental health issues that we're having in the United States, maybe they're not really about what's going on. Maybe it's about what happened in the different lineages. Whether you're white, black, orange, purple, green, Chinese, Japanese, let's not even talk about Hiroshima. That affected a whole different level. And when you start thinking about all this stuff that we've done in the name of religion, or in the name of keeping America safe, just think about the things that we've done. Just think about the things that we've done in the last 100 years, the last 20 years. If we would come together and start working on this stuff, we could heal. I don't care if you're Islam. They made a name talking about radical Islam, but I ain't never seen nobody say a radical Christian. I've never seen somebody that say a radical Buddhist, but it's only for that. Because it's a plan. Now, when they go to the airport, they get treated less than a human. But it's the same thing when I walk into a room. Nobody knows that I am 100% disabled Army vet. They don't know that. And they just see a black woman when they walk into the room. And so immediately I'm judged. And Martin Luther King said it. I don't want them to be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. But nobody asked me the content of my character. So that's useless. Because if we're really the land of the free, why aren't we acting like it? Why are we giving more courtesy to people that we don't know instead of the courtesy of the people that's in our own households? That's useless. We are supposed to be caring for each other. When 9/11 happened, you saw white people, black people, orange people, Chinese people, Japanese people, everybody that was in the United States. We was working together for one common cause. But as soon as that stuff goes away, guess what we do? We get divided. We shouldn't be that way. Like I said before, as a preacher's kid, I put that label down and I went to a Buddhist temple. I went to a Hindu temple. You know why? Because I wanted to see if what people told me was the truth. I took a risk that I might have been yelled at and everything. And you know what happened? They loved on me. But you know what did happen? I went to a Jewish synagogue. And they stared at me like I was the dirtiest thing on the ground. They didn't want me in there. So I left out. They didn't even know who I was. But because of the color of my skin, I wasn't received. And because I'm an ambassador of the United States from being in the military, I know that when you go somewhere, you act how they act. When you on somebody else's country, when you in somebody else's land, you find out what the rules are in that place before you go. So when you get there, you don't disrespect no one. So I knew what to do when I got there. I ran and put one of them things on my head. I ran. But that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not judging them. I'm just saying, when we put down that judgment, as Matthew 7:1 says, the way you judge is how you're going to be judged. I have been re-looking at myself for the last week and a half and saying, where is it that you're judging people? Put it down. As a black woman, you're judged every day. You don't get a chance to show someone how nice you are, how empathic I am, how sweet I am, how I really care about people, and how I want to know what concerns you. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know who you are, but I don't get that same luxury. When I walk into the room, this is what you see. And because of a wound that you had in the past that you haven't healed, you judge me by what someone who else was African American that hurt you. But then you want to judge me for having a mother and father wound, but you still have a wound from another person of a different color. Not a race, because there's only one human race. God only made one human race. We are Homo sapien. We have different shades. We have different shapes. We have all of that, but we're the same. And once we see that we're the same, we will see that we can talk to each other. But see, the thing that has happened in America, it has taught people to be hateful, to be rude. And thank you for the hearts. I thank you so very much. The God in me sees a God in you. We need to see each other by the character of of who we are and not by our skin type. That means you're going to have to come out of your shadow and see someone. You're stuck in your ways. And in order to see someone, you got to see yourself first. Do you love yourself? I asked myself that about a week and a half. I said, do you love yourself? And I said, yes. And I said, well, it's time to start acting like it. Be gentle with yourself. There's a lot of stuff you're learning right now that you ain't never heard of. You ain't never seen. There's not a playbook for it. Nobody's really here to tell you because you're seeing stuff that don't make sense. Yes, they're telling you 1, 2, 3, and 4, but the stuff they're telling me doesn't match to what I'm seeing. So I'm having to improvise and listen to the intuition that I have with God. And listen and pay attention and get quiet and get still, even while I have diverse things going on around me. So basically, it's like this. I am trying to get quiet, and stuff is going on like this. And I have to intentionally shut down and cut on some meditative music to tell myself it is time to cut on your parasympathetic system to allow yourself to get into a place of rest. Because once you get into a place of rest, that's when you can commune with God. God also communes with you while you hustling and bustling. Because let me tell you something. Read Psalms 31. It talks about David. How he was running away from his enemies and how they was on his tail. They was on him like white on rice. And he was running for his life. And he was like, God, save me from my enemies. Save me from these wicked people. My enemies are after me. My neighbors are after me. Everyone is after me and I don't understand. Only thing I wish to do is serve you. When you make a stance to serve God and only God, you put a bullseye on your back. You put a bullseye on your back. Yeah, you do. Because now you become enemy number 1. But Christ consciousness is the only way to make it. You hear me? If you try anything else, you're not gonna make it. I watched other people that's in the fivefold ministry that's going through the same change that I'm going through. I watched their lights go out and I cried while I was confessing in my head Psalms 91 and Psalms 23. As I was getting beaten senseless by things that I could not see. But I was paying attention to what I was smelling. Because I remember God said, stay in the present. I paid attention to what I was smelling. I paid attention to what I was hearing. I paid attention to what I was seeing. I paid attention to what I was feeling. So I was getting beaten senseless. But I remember what they taught us in POW training. I remember what they taught us in basic training. I went through basic training at Fort Leonard Wood. Fort Lost in the Woods is what we call it. We were the very first females to go through. They didn't know how to treat us. So they treated us like the men. Meaning, we was getting the business. When I say getting the business, I mean we was getting the business. We were having to fight our drill sergeants. We was having to go there. Do you hear me? It was down for whatever. It don't make sense, but let me tell you something. I'm glad all that went down. We had to do push-ups with no hands. Do you know what that looks like? Honey, that's doing the worm. I didn't know what he meant. So I had to do flutter kicks in the mud with water up to my nose, doing my best not to drown. Yes, water in a sand pit where the sand turned to mud. And I had my back up doing flutter kicks like this while I was counting, while the water was right here, trying not to drown. So I was like, mind over matter. We gonna have to pretend like this ain't going on. Because that's how it was in the military. You had to pretend that what was going on wasn't going on. And some days it's easy, some days it ain't. But that's how you get through it. When you going through and the enemy is on your tail and everything is coming back to back to back to back to back to back and you can't even breathe. The rug is getting snatched from underneath your feet and you going. And the rug is getting snatched from underneath your feet and you going. And the rug is snatched. What you do is you find a place to rest in the presence of God. Donald Lawrence has a song called Rest. You might need to listen to it. Okay? Woo! Let me tell you. It is useless for us to be separate. It is useless because then it's called divide and conquer. I wouldn't have to be in isolation if we were all together. We could all be working together in a community. But because right now we're a dog-eat-dog world and we are supposed to be unified. Because guess what happens when you unify? And things happen. And you off the grid. And you ain't got no lights. Let me tell you what farmers do. I grew up on a farm. In the sticks of the Carolinas. Let me tell you what farmers do. Farmers say, my granddaddy had corn and different things like that. And then there was another farmer up the road that they would have cabbage, collard greens, everything else. And what they would do is they would do the barter system. And if we would come together, we could barter our skills. Oh, you know how to set up a website? Got you. I'm a massage therapist. Say less. Oh, you know how to set up a fitness plan? That's what I need. Say less. I'm an admin assistant. I can set up your SOPs. I can set up your strategic plans. I can set up your business plans. I can set up to where everything is set up on your calendar where it is flowing. Really, say less. That's how we could be here in America. If we would let go of all this trying to control everything. If we would just work together. Do you know what we could do if we would work together? We could crush this system. And that is why they don't want us to work together. That is why they get the Caucasians to be in a Caucasian group. The African Americans to be in the African American group. And let's not even get started how they do the African Americans. They get us to turn against each other to where we can't even work together. We can't, oh, you got to be in charge. So there's a separation right there. If we would just come together and say, well, these are my skills and this is my skills. And then you have the Latinos, and then you have the Asians, and then you have the Native Americans, and then you have the Aboriginals that have been here since the beginning. If we would just work together and say, this is what I got. This is what my group got. Cool. Let's see what this group got. And we could come together and we could work together as a team, thereby backing whoever the president is, instead of going against everything and fighting so hard. If we would come together, we could get rid of this narcissistic trait. Confirmation, Bert. In America, if we would just come together, if we would just see each other. You're human, I'm human. You're a woman, I'm a woman. So we dealing with the same things. It's just you need to deal with your junk, I need to deal with my junk. And then we could work together. But instead of us dealing with our stuff, what we want to do is a collective, is we want to throw our stuff on the people that's right now. Oh, thank heavens. Oh, they doing the work, so I don't have to do anything. You know how hard that makes it on us? Everybody needs to be doing their work. Everybody. I don't care if your work is getting into your journal and asking yourself questions. How do I feel today? And let that be your journal prompt. And do your best to write 3 pages. That'll allow whatever is on you to come out. that will lighten our load. So we could do what we need to do for the collective. But that would mean we would have to work together. Let's work together. We have been separate for so long. It is time for America to line up with her creed. We are the land of the free, where you can have the American dream. We haven't had the American dream in this country for over 50 years. Because so many people have been left out. Why you think we got civil rights? And why you think the LGBTQ and so many other letters, because I don't know what they all are, and I don't want to disrespect y'all. I want to love on y'all, okay? So don't be mean to me because I don't know all the letters. I promise you, I don't know all the letters. Why you think they use our civil rights to gain their civil rights? And then you have people that is in that group who want to eliminate the African American men or women who are in that group. When you use the rights, that is so useless. We should be working together to come up with a plan. How we gonna bring America back how she used to be? You know, when the Irish came over here from Ireland and they had to work together, and they was working together with the African American people, and they was working with the American Indians, and everybody was working together, and it wasn't no you versus them, and it wasn't no us versus them. It was no tribalism. Remember that what I said before? Racism, tribalism, sexism, all these isms that have come in the way. If we would just take these isms out of the way, and we would come across the line, a demarcation, and shake hands and say, you know what? Who are you? Who are you? I've seen you around the neighborhood. Can we just start in our neighborhood? I've seen you in my neighborhood, but I don't even know who you are. We're doing all these neighborhood watches to keep people out of the neighborhood who stay there. We have African American, Latina, and Asians that stay in the neighborhood, but you so spooky that you haven't even sat down and talked to your neighbors. I bet you if you talk to your neighbor, you will find out that they are a veteran, or a police officer, or a firefighter. And then you're going to like them because you see the label. But why do you have to like them once they show you the label? Why can't we just be human? One thing we have in common is we're human. We all, if we're women, we all have breasticles and vajayjays. If you're all men, you all have chests and penile solutions. I'm using different words so they don't shut me down. You see what I'm saying? We all have that. So why can't we meet each other in the middle? Since you have a man, no matter what color that man is, they have the same thing. Whether they LGBTQ and all them other letters, or if they straight, or if they bi. Y'all have the same thing. You go to the same bathroom. Women, the same thing. We got the same thing. So that means you're going to have to deal with the pain that you have inside. Those mother wounds, your mama said something to you. Your mom and daddy were good. They were good to you. But your mom or your dad said something that broke you. And instead of dealing with that, now you treat everybody that reminds you of them like that. If somebody tell you can't do something, you know what you do? Shut up! You go off on them. How about you might want to go look at that? Or you feel inferior, so you get I'll use this example. I'm the man of this house. If you were the man of the house, you wouldn't have to go around saying it. See, when someone is a leader, they don't have to say that they're a leader. The energy around them says they're a leader. So the only thing you have to do is check in with yourself and say, what's going on inside of me? Hey, His Royal Highness, what's going on with me that I can't love on my brother and sister. The reason why I say it's brother and sister, if you were born in America, that means you got a birth certificate that say you are an American. Even if you became an American citizen, you should be working on your heart. If you around this world, you should be working on your heart. What does your heart say about you? When you see a black man walk past you, do you clutch your purse? Why do you clutch your purse? Now look at that. If you grab your woman every time you see an African American man, why did you do that? Something happened. Go back to the first time that happened and deal with that pain. I ain't gonna lie, it ain't easy. Especially if you're a grown person. That means you gotta go back and deal with some stuff. And people say, oh, you ain't gotta go deal with that. Yes, you do. You gotta go back and deal with that. Because what you don't deal with now, when you get further up the road, the enemy will come up. Doom, 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 doom. Hey, remember that stuff you ain't dealt with? Give me all that stuff you got. And then you find yourself coming back down the ladder. Well, if he had you dealt with the stuff, now you can keep growing. We got all this scientific evidence, but we don't want to do the work. Why don't we want to do the work? Because the work is work. And in America, Cedric Entertainer got this joke. He said, talk about African American people. But this is about everybody. You go to work talking about, I ain't coming here to come to work today. But you clocked in, but you don't want to work. Every day you wake up, you done clocked in with God. And he is looking for you to check in on your heart. What's going on in right here? Men, if you're, not all men, but you know the ones I'm talking to, if your heart was right, you wouldn't be in there beating on your woman or your wife. You beating on them because there's some stuff going on in you from your mother and your father, and you haven't dealt with that yet. So you decide to drink it up or drag it up, and then you start acting up. You got to deal with yourself. Because once you realize I'm taking these drugs because I got something else I got to deal with, you see that it's useless to take the drug. Put it down and go find a rehab. Go find someone to talk to. You have so many people that love you. It's just you don't love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, can't nobody step up and help you. I put it there again. I'm just stepping out. I put my Cash App and my PayPal there just in case you want to sow anything. You don't have to do anything except be the color you are and leave here. I'm just taking a risk. God told me to take a leap. I'm taking a leap. Look, this is how you grow. You take leaps of faith. You know what a leap of faith is? Looking inside and finding out what's wrong with you. That's a leap of faith. Why is my heart so cold? Why am I so bitter? Why am I so angry? Why am I so bent on hating someone because of the color of their skin? It is something in my lineage, and I need to find out what it is. Because in the Caucasian culture, they are taught that they are better than anyone else growing up. You know how I know? Because growing up, I had a lot of stuff going on in my household. So I turned to have my best friends who were Caucasian. Every job I had, I was the only African American woman at the job. Didn't know that God was training me on finding out what was going on. I know the signs y'all give to each other. I know the hints you give to each other. I know what that look is that y'all give to each other. That means for me to step stage left because you're getting ready to do something. In the Christian realm, we say, oh, you bless your heart. That means you finna do something ignorant because you feel insecure. Why do you feel insecure? We need to look at that. We need to look at that as a country. Why are you upset with people? We got people just going in and shooting up schools. Why? What is in you that is causing you to take an AR-15 and go to an elementary school? Them kids ain't done nothing to nobody. Or a middle school or a high school. What is it? Like, look deeper. What is it? We have a man getting ready to do time because his son decided to take the AR-15 that his daddy gave him as a gift and went out there and shot up a school. It's useless. But we still have to hold someone accountable because the child was too young. So when we start holding these parents accountable, things will start changing. I have nothing with anybody having a weapon. But if you ask some parents that was at Sandy Hook, they would say having a semi-automatic weapon that can shoot out anywhere from 25 to 50 rounds at a time is useless unless you're in the military. Who you shooting? You can't shoot a bear. You can't shoot a deer because you would disintegrate it. What are you shooting? And if it's for you to have, your children ain't got no business handling it unless you with them. And it needs to be locked up at all times. And there needs to be some respect for the gun. Well, that's all my time today. I actually went over a little bit. I thank y'all for being here today. I thank you for listening. I thank you for coming to hear what I had to say, because this was really, and I got so much more to say, but this has really been what's on my heart. We need to come together as a country. No more separateness. I need you and you need me. Hezekiah said it best. I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. Come with me. Stand with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is His will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. Tell your neighbor, you are important to me. I need you to survive. And once you see that, we could get rid of racism, sexism, all these isms. Once we begin to see each other as humans, once we begin to see each other as people, and start coming across these demarcation lines and start shaking each other's hands and learning about each other instead of having a token African American person on your leadership or having a token person in your board of directors so you don't look like it. And instead of you saying, I got 3 black friends, you know how racist that sounds? If you can count on 10 hands how many you got. I'm just asking you to look at yourself and look a little deeper. As Boss Hogg would say, Henley. I'm aging myself yet, a Dukes of Hazzard. That was my show back in the day. Jumping through the side in the General Lee. Let's go. What? I'm just saying. We need to find ways to meet each other across the demarcation line and quit worrying about who's a Democrat, quit worrying about who's a Republican, because at the end of the day, most of the stuff you've been seeing is staged anyway. Because let me tell you something about a bullet. Look, sharpshooter and expert in the military can shoot a weapon to the side like this with a gas mask on. Because with a gas mask, you can't shoot it like this. You got to turn it to the side, look through the sights, and shoot 300 meters away from you while the targets are moving. That's how we got ready for war. So what I'm saying is, we need to do better. I love you. I hope you love me. And if you don't, guess what? I still love you and ain't nothing you can do about it. Because every night I pray for you. Yes, I pray for this United States. I pray for the leaders. I pray that God don't put another narcissistic person in leadership. Because we need each other. We need each other. That's the only way we gonna make it, America. If we don't stop where we going, we gonna have another 9/11. We need to turn around and go the other way and start loving on each other right now. Right now. Like right now. And it starts in your household. Quit giving your children money and not loving on them. You got all this money, but you don't love them. Stop it. Find a reason to love on your child. Hug on your child. Kiss your child. Tell them how much you love them. My child, 26. I hug and kiss on her so much like she's still a kid. You know why? Because they still need us. There's so much going on in the world. She needs to know that when she comes behind these doors, that she is safe. You know why I do it? Because this is what I wanted when I was a kid. This is what I wanted. So be the change that you want to see. It starts with you. Quit complaining about what the government is doing and start at your house. I love you in the love of the Lord. And I pray you start loving on the people in your house. So then it can go out. Because when I went to that Buddha temple and they said meditate, and they said, Buddha says, love on yourself and see a beautiful lotus flower coming up from your lap and coming up all the way up above your head. Now give that love to yourself. Now give that love to everyone in your household. Now spread all that love out to your neighborhood. Now spread that love out even more and take it into the nation. Now take it away from the United States and taking it over into the world. That's how we're going to change this. One person at a time. You're going to start at your house. 1 Corinthians 13. Start with that. And then we will have less divorce. You know why we have divorce? We have divorce because people don't know how to keep their taladakas in their pockets. People don't know how to love on themselves. And so you looking for the next best thing when you got the best thing in your house. But you don't know that until it's gone. While you was looking at the Instagram model and tearing that up, your wife is gone. Your husband is gone because you needed the next best thing because that's what they told you. Quit looking for instant gratification and love on what you have and work on it. Okay, I'm done. I love you. I love you so much. I want you to know how much I love you. Ooh, my ancestors done showed up. I'm here sweating for real. Okay, love y'all in the love of the Lord. I pray that you heard what I said and it didn't go out through one ear and out the other. It is time to change this country. It is time to change this country and get away from, I got this money. No, it's time for us to see who is in need and we need to spread it around and find out what's going on. We need to get into our communities and help. Time out for this. Love you in the love of the Lord. Have a good evening. Be safe. Love yourself. Love your family. Start there.